So the skate stuff really got you.
Right. And it's,
what were you doing like career wise? Like were you in were you majoring in anything? Asian and like were you?
Nah, I mean, you know, Asian parents and all that, so there was like definitely arts and stuff like that was out of the question.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do was film, but again, that's like out of the question, right? So the compromise was like, let's get something that's more traditional that I can kind of fall back on and so forth. So
What's the fallback?
I went with political science. It's actually my area of interest.
Okay.
That's the thing. It wasn't like, oh, I hate politics. It's like I thought about being a business major first, and I was just like, no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And ever since high school, I was actually, I've been watching The Daily Show, and so I inadvertently got interested in politics through that show because, you know, at first it was just the jokes, and then you start watching enough that you start paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
So by the time college came around and I had to pick a major, I was like, yo, political science sounds kind of interest, right? You know, it's right up my alley. And honest truth is, I actually really enjoy it.
The politics.
Right. Whether making, you know, finding out how to make money with a political science degree is a whole different story.
Yes.
But getting the degree itself was actually fun. I didn't hate it. You know what I mean?
Right. So what was it? What were you doing out of college?
Out of college, the plan was to focus on skating and go, you know, try to do something in the skate world.
Yeah.
Exactly, that was the plan. But life didn't really work out that way. My brother had started a business. He needed help. I kind of got sucked into the family business stuff because of. I graduated college right around 2008. So if you remember, there was a whole, you know, global financial collapse, and money was kind of tight for everyone.
Right.
And that was also my family. My dad had a bunch of loans that, you know, for business stuff that was supposed to pop off, but then 2008 happened.
Okay.
My brother, so the family ended up in a situation where they needed my help, and I pretty much had to drop everything I was doing to go do that. I didn't actually want to be doing this stuff for my family, but I got called in to do it. Years of it ended up causing friction. I ended up having to leave the family for a while.
So when was this? So out of college,
like around 2008. I was there for, I don't remember the exact amount of years. I want to say like 3-something years before I finally had enough or something like that. Then I left on my own, cut all contact with the family for a couple years. During that time is when I, you know, got my next, was when I started working for the video game industry. And then from there is when I started my man whoring it up in San Francisco storyline, which leads directly to here, how I became this.
That's why I want to pause, right? The man whoring in San Francisco. Okay. So video game industry, how did, like, what kicked that story arc off? Was it a bad breakup? Was it?
No, so I mean, kind of. It wasn't a bad breakup. It was just I was in a relationship for 2-something years.
Yeah.
The person I was with, she's amazing. She's wonderful. I have nothing bad, negative to say at all. It's just purely one of those like dating someone for 2 years and realizing like we're both getting into our late 20s. Yes. I wasn't quite ready to settle down yet. There was so much stuff I wanted to do, both like sexually and non-sexually. And it was just like I was just starting to finally get a taste of freedom because of all the family stuff. And then here I am in this long-term relationship being like, I'm just getting a taste of freedom and I'm also 2-year mark, which means we should be either serious or let her cut loose.
Yeah.
And I decided to cut her loose, which was like, I totally broke her heart, but I still think it was the right move because, you know, it's been many years since then. I'm still not quite ready to settle down. And I would be the worst person in the world if I just dragged her along the entire time, you know?
You also don't want to drag yourself along.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, but with that, you know, that sense of finally having freedom in my life, I got financial freedom. I have, you know, freedom from any relationships, this and so forth. I just moved to San Francisco. Why not man whore it up and just, you know, live your best fucking man whore life, right?
Okay.
Like,
so where does that start? At the club, Tinder? Where?
At Tinder. I'm not a club person. I don't really drink. I'm not really a night, like, you know, I don't drink, I don't dance. So like, what am I really gonna do at the club, right? And if I went to the club just to try to pick up girls, that's just kind of weird at times. Like,
so what's your go-to on Tinder? You know, you do the matches.
You know, I mean, my strategy works for me, but it's mostly just, you know, if you look good half naked, you post a bunch of half naked pictures, you let people know that you're down, what you're looking for, and just kind of let it happen, right? Like, if you're a good looking guy and you're just honest about like, hey, I'm just looking for this, you know, people respect that and be like, hey, I'm also just looking for that too. Let's just knock it out real quick and call it a day, right?
Knock it out real quick. Okay. What's the first message? Because a lot of guys watching out here, you know, they are really down bad. You know, they want to.
I feel, and this,
okay. So let me ease you into this, right? So I had a friend back in the day. It was a couple years ago. He was, I say he was man whoring. He'd be on Tinder just, hey, FWB question mark. That's it.
Right.
That's literally his opener.
And honestly, if you got the confidence to just go that bold with it, go for it. But honestly, I was about to say is like literally just hey is fine to get the conversation started if they're already interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like usually I talk a little bit before I'm like hey, you know, so forth. But also my profile's pretty open about like not looking for anything serious and so forth. So if you swipe right and you're responding to hey, you should already be on page that like I'm not looking for much.
You got the shirtless picture in the first.
No, of course. Like okay, catch the attention first, right? You know,
right. Damn. Hey, you know what's crazy? All these girls, bro, they have the exact opposite on their profile. Just here looking for a friend, not trying to hook up, right. And then they match with you, and they.
Right. I completely understand though, just because the way society views like sex and it's such a double standard, right? Like if women are out there having sex, it's like, oh my god, you're such a whore. But if a man out there having the sex, it's like, good for you, you're a stud, right?
And I think that all goes back to guys as well who you know, like down the line they don't want a girl with, you know, a high body count or
right. And I mean, I don't know, I have feelings about that, and I feel like it stems from a lot of male insecurity, and that is like the definition of like toxic masculinity, you know what I mean? Because it's like
I think it's how guys view their partner, their girlfriend down the line. It's like, okay, I don't want somebody that I've like, you know, did all these sweet things for, and you know, for her to be technically shared, because we view like sex with our girlfriend to a high esteem. I think that's what it comes to.
I mean, I see that and I get that, but I also think there's still the old traditional thought of marriage is sort of like a property ownership type situation. And there's still part of that because it's like guys aren't looking at it as like, oh, my wife is a human being with her own thoughts and desires and so forth. And, you know, and just like I'm a human being with my thoughts and desires and so forth. It's like, I don't want my wife, I don't want my girl, I don't want my this having these things with other people, right?
It's very possessive.
Exactly. It's a possessive mentality where like my mentality on is like, look, if I'm a human being, you're a human being. If you have these thoughts, it's natural because I have these thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, there are girls that I'm with, and it's like, yo, I want to fuck all of your friends. Like, I 100% do. You know what I mean? So, like, how am I going to be mad at you if you're like, oh, your friend's hot? It's like, okay, like, you're a human being. You got this, right?
Yes.
And, like, just don't do things that's going to hurt each other's feelings. Don't do things out of spite. Don't weaponize sex to hurt each other. But other than that, like, I'm very non-monogamous. So, it's very, you know, it's like, go do your thing. Don't stop me from doing my thing. I would much rather a non-monogamous relationship based on that we care and love each other versus a monogamous relationship that's based purely on sex. You know what I mean?
So let's just say a guy, you know, he's with, I say a girlfriend who believes in monogamy, being with one person. And I feel like there are some girls who are totally against that. Right. But I think there are girls who could be persuaded.
Oh, no.
So how do you persuade them?
Shit. So first things first, warning: be careful what you wish for, because so I've again I've done all sorts of things, and at one point you know, you venture into the BDSM kink community and stuff like that, and they're a lot more open-minded and so forth. And the general thing is about that is it's usually the guy that brings up to the girlfriend or wife to open up the relationship for, you know, whatever reasons. But you also know women get way more sexual attention than men do. So once you open that can of worms, it's usually the guys trying to put the genie back in the bottle, trying to close it back up, because now the wife is getting so much sexual attention, and the dude's sitting there like trying really hard to get some girl to be like okay with, you know, dating him even though he has a wife, while the dudes are usually like, oh, you got a husband? I don't give a fuck. And she's like, all right, cool, like let's go, right? So lesson learned: be careful what you wish for. You have to really, like, my whole belief is that some people are wired for monogamy and some people are not, right? And if you're wired for monogamy, more power to you, enjoy it and so forth. If you're not wired for monogamy, then just have that discussion with people, let people know, because relationships, the rules of every relationship is dependent only on the people in the relationship.
Got you. Okay.